The night feels different again tonight, doesn't it? Not louder, not brighter, just different in a way your spirit cannot fully explain. Something invisible has been moving around your life for days now, rearranging things behind the scenes, while you tried to continue with ordinary routines. You may have thought it was only exhaustion, maybe stress, maybe the weight of carrying too many unanswered prayers for too long. But deep down, beneath the noise of the world and the distractions fighting for your attention every day, your soul has known that a shift was coming. And tonight, heaven has brought you here because this is not another random message passing through your screen. This is an appointment, a moment that was marked with your name long before you pressed play. And the reason your spirit feels this heaviness mixed with expectation is because something powerful is finally approaching your life after a season of delay. Archangel Michael stands near you tonight, not symbolically, not poetically, but spiritually present in a way your heart can feel, even if your mind struggles to explain it. He was assigned to this moment before you ever arrived here. Heaven does not send Michael for small matters. He is sent when battles are ending, when chains are breaking, when something sacred is crossing the boundary between the unseen and the visible. And what is moving toward you now is not temporary relief. It is not a shallow blessing designed only to make you comfortable for a few weeks before the pain returns. No. What heaven is preparing to release into your life carries enough weight to change the direction of your future completely. Years from now, you will look back at this exact season and realize it was the dividing line between the old story and the new one God had always planned for you. But before this blessing fully arrives, there is something you must understand clearly. Heaven does not force gifts into closed hands. God does not drag people into promises they refuse to receive. There must be agreement. There must be openness, not perfection. Not flawless faith, just willingness, a quiet yes from the deepest part of you. And for some of you, that yes has become difficult because life has disappointed you too many times. You prayed before and nothing changed. You trusted before and were betrayed. You hoped before and ended up standing in silence, wondering if heaven had forgotten your address completely. So now part of your heart hesitates whenever something good approaches because disappointment trained you to expect loss before blessing. But tonight, God is asking you to risk hope one more time. Michael has seen every hidden battle you fought in secret. He saw the nights when you stared into darkness, unable to sleep, because your thoughts would not stop racing. He saw the tears you wiped away before anyone else noticed them. He heard the prayers you whispered so quietly you were not even sure heaven could hear them yourself. He watched you continue forward while carrying burdens that would have broken many other people completely. And what amazes heaven most about you is not that you never struggled. It is that after everything you survived, you are still capable of softness. You are still capable of kindness. Somewhere inside you, despite all the disappointment, a small sacred part of your spirit kept believing that maybe one day things could still change. That small remaining hope is what heaven is responding to tonight. There were moments in the past when your blessing almost arrived. You remember them. Seasons when the atmosphere felt different. Times when your heart leaned forward because everything inside you whispered this might finally be the breakthrough. But then the door closed. The opportunity disappeared. The relationship fell apart. The answer never came. And after enough of those moments, you started asking questions you were afraid to say out loud. Questions like, did God skip me? Questions like, was I ever truly included in the promises I hear everyone else talking about? Tonight, Michael wants you to hear this clearly. You were never forgotten. The delay was not rejection. The silence was not abandonment. Heaven withheld certain things because the version of you back then could not yet carry the weight of what is coming now. If some of those blessings had arrived earlier, you would have given access to people who did not deserve access to your sacred places. You would have trusted individuals who would have mishandled what God intended to protect. You would have mistaken temporary comfort for permanent purpose. But the fire you walked through changed you. The losses changed you. The lonely seasons changed you. You now recognize the difference between what drains your spirit and what feeds it. You no longer chase every open door just because it is available. You have become wiser, stronger, more discerning, and heaven says that maturity is the reason the seal is finally breaking now. Tonight something is shifting over your household. Cycles that repeated through generations are losing their authority. The exhaustion that seemed to follow your family line is being interrupted. The fear that passed from one person to another is meeting resistance in you because you were chosen to become the interruption. You are the one who says it stops here. The poverty mindset stops here. The emotional chaos stops here. The pattern of surviving without peace stops here. Heaven has marked you as the turning point in your bloodline, even if nobody around you fully understands it yet. There will be signs of this shift almost immediately. Some will be subtle, a strange peace settling into your chest after months of anxiety, a sudden clarity about decisions you have struggled with for years, a conversation you thought would never happen finally opening naturally, doors beginning to move without the exhausting force you once needed to apply. You will notice that certain things start aligning in ways you could not have engineered on your own. Not because luck suddenly improved, but because heaven has begun repositioning people and opportunities around your destiny. Someone who distanced themselves from you will think about you again. Someone who underestimated you will begin to recognize your value differently. Certain people who ignored your presence before will suddenly feel drawn toward your energy because spiritual atmosphere changes before physical circumstances do. People sense when someone has been touched by peace. They sense when someone carries quiet authority after surviving difficult seasons. And while some individuals will feel comforted by the shift happening in you, others will feel unsettled because your healing exposes the brokenness they tried to normalize around you. Do not fear that reaction. You are not responsible for shrinking your light to protect other people from discomfort. God did not preserve you through every attack just for you to continue living small. Heaven did not carry you out of dark seasons so you could spend the rest of your life apologizing for becoming stronger. The timid version of you served a purpose once because survival required caution. But this new season requires courage. It requires you to stop speaking about your future as if disaster is inevitable. It requires you to stop expecting betrayal every time someone loves you sincerely. It requires you to stop preparing emotionally for loss before blessings even have the chance to fully arrive. Michael says, many of the battles surrounding your life were never physical to begin with. That is why logic alone could not solve them. You were fighting heaviness without understanding where it came from, fighting discouragement that seemed to appear out of nowhere, fighting cycles that repeated no matter how hard you tried to change your circumstances naturally. But tonight, heaven is confronting what has been confronting you. The spiritual resistance around your progress is weakening. The delay over your purpose is lifting. The confusion clouding your vision is breaking apart. And the reason you feel emotional hearing this is because your spirit recognizes truth before your mind fully catches up. There are blessings approaching your life right now that are larger than what you originally asked for. God heard the prayer you prayed years ago, but he also saw the person you would become by the time the answer arrived. That means some blessings had to grow while you were growing. Some promises had to expand while your capacity expanded. Heaven was never interested in giving you enough only to survive. God intends to establish you, to stabilize you, to restore things so completely that even the people who watched you struggle will have no explanation except divine intervention. Financial restoration is part of this. Not only money appearing suddenly, but wisdom increasing, opportunities aligning, ideas flowing, doors opening in unexpected places, resources finding you through channels you did not create yourself. God is removing the mindset that taught you to fear abundance. You were never meant to spend your entire life barely surviving while carrying kingdom purpose inside you. Provision is coming because your assignment requires it. Stability is coming because peace grows where constant panic finally ends. Emotional restoration is coming too. The version of yourself you thought disappeared forever during the hardest years is returning. The joy you buried beneath responsibility is resurfacing. The confidence life tried to crush is breathing again. You are about to meet a stronger version of yourself than the one that existed before the pain began, because God does not simply restore people to previous conditions. He restores them to intended conditions. And the intended version of you carries wisdom the earlier version never possessed. There will still be moments where fear tries to whisper against this message. Fear will remind you of previous disappointments. It will tell you not to believe too deeply because disappointment hurts less when expectations stay low. But fear is speaking from old wounds, not present truth. Heaven already considered your doubts before releasing this blessing. God is not shocked by your caution. He understands why your heart became guarded. Yet even with shaking hands, you are still invited to receive what belongs to you. Tonight, while you sleep, heaven will continue working in areas you cannot yet see. Some chains will break quietly, some emotional burdens will lift gradually, some answers will begin moving toward you from places currently hidden. Do not underestimate what God can accomplish in silence. Some of the greatest transformations happen without noise at all. Seeds grow underground long before anyone sees evidence above the surface. And what heaven planted in your life during previous seasons is finally pushing upward toward manifestation now. Tomorrow you may wake up unable to explain exactly what changed, but you will feel it. A stillness, a steadiness, a subtle confidence where panic once lived. That feeling is not emptiness. It is alignment. The weight you carried for so long is beginning to loosen because you were never designed to live crushed beneath constant heaviness. God is teaching your nervous system what peace feels like again, teaching your spirit what safety feels like again, teaching your heart that waiting seasons eventually end. This new chapter will not look exactly the way you imagined years ago because you are no longer the same person who first prayed those prayers. You have evolved through survival. Heaven refined you through hardship, and the life now approaching you matches who you have become, not who you used to be. Relationships will feel different. Opportunities will feel different. Even the way you carry yourself into rooms will feel different because restoration changes atmosphere before it changes circumstances. Archangel Michael wants you to understand one final thing tonight. None of your suffering was wasted. Every lonely season shaped endurance inside you. Every betrayal sharpened discernment inside you. Every closed door redirected you away from spaces too small for your calling. Even the silence had purpose. Heaven was constructing things behind the scenes that required time, precision, and protection. What felt like delay was often divine preparation happening outside your vision. And now the preparation season is ending. The movement has begun. The release has started. What belonged to you in heaven is beginning to move toward you on earth. You survived the waiting season. You survived the confusion season. You survived the painful transformation season. And because you endured without losing your soul completely, heaven says you are ready now. This is not the end of your story. It is the turning point. The chapter where everything begins shifting into alignment, the moment where the pieces finally start making sense. Years from now, you will remember this season not as the time you almost gave up, but as the time heaven stepped into your life and changed the direction of everything forever.